my dad's half-sister.
Oh, okay.
And they lived in Corey.
Mm-hmm.
So Chuck evidently saw I don't know, maybe I had a graduation picture. I don't know. I don't think I could afford one.
Mm.
Well, anyway, they wanted me to come up and stay for a weekend. And I didn't know they had ulterior motives.
Oh.
So I had a date with one young boy from Pittsburgh. And so I went up to stay with my dad's half-sister and her husband. And so I said to this Bob Greener was his name, I said, you can come up and pick me up there the next day and we'll go back to the cottage. So while I'm there, a knock came at the door, and it was Chuck Fischer,
Oh.
who I'd never seen before.
Uh-huh.
I forgot to tell you that he was so tickled because he had a new pair of high tops that he saved money for. That's what everybody wore back then. That was the thing. Didn't have a motorcycle, but he had high top boots.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So we had a nice time, and I got acquainted with him and stuff. There came a knock at the door, and there's my date. I said, well, I'm sorry, I have to leave. And that was the end of that. Well, he went to the service. I can't remember if he was on leave or whether he was on his way. But he wrote to me. And I wrote to him. I even sent him cookies. Hey, you know what? I have the cookie recipe in the old Betty Crocker cookbook. It's an oatmeal cookie recipe.
Right.
Yeah, and I saw it someplace else once. And by golly, it was the same recipe.
Oh, wow.
On the internet. I saw it on the internet.
Good recipe?
Yeah, the same recipe. It's my grandmother. It's my mother-in-law's old Betty Crocker book.
Wow.
I still have it.
Tell about what happened when he came back and the three guys came around again.
Oh, do I have to? That's terrible. My mother and I lived in an apartment, and the war was over, and of course when the Japs surrendered, everything quit.
Yeah.
Because Chuck was on his way to Japan. He was on the way to the Pacific,
Wow.
but he got to stay home in Oil City for a leave longer because of how long he'd been in Asia, in the European theater.
Right.
Well, anyway, he and I had become engaged by that time. He swept me off my feet instead of going to college and learning to be somebody else. Well, I was going to be a dietitian, but I've been a dietitian anyway.
Yeah.
And a couple other things. Well, anyway, we were sitting in the living room on this one day, and Chuck was there, and there was a knock on the door. It was my ex-friend.
Oh, boy.
And then another knock came at the door. It was one of the younger brothers from Pittsburgh. And I was so embarrassed I could have crawled under the carpet. But anyway, my dear sweet husband-to-be said, oh, well, first come, first served. He had a sense of humor like his father, like my father-in-law. It was pretty warped sometimes, I'll tell you.